We've got Ryan back from Carson Law. Excited to talk to you today about buying a condo. So what differences should we expect if we're going to be closing on a condo versus, say, a freehold property?
There are some unique differences to be aware of. I'd break it into two categories. So there's like a resale condo purchase. So that would be like you and me buying and selling a condo from each other, from and with each other. But then there's also like the builder purchase of a condo. You could have bought hundreds of resale deals, but if you've never bought from a builder before and specifically bought a condo from a builder, there's about half a dozen to 10 or so nuances there, right?
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and have you ever wondered what's the difference between buying a condo and buying a house? Well, today our local legal expert, Ryan Carson from Carson Law, is going to be on the show. He's going to break down for us exactly what you should expect when looking at buying a condo, as well as what costs are involved when closing on buying that condo. I think you guys are going to get a lot of value from this because I've been investing in real estate for over 10 years now. We've literally tens of millions of dollars in real estate I've transacted in, and yet I've never actually bought a condo. So even I learned a couple things in today's video. I hope you guys learned a couple things. Smash the like button if you're enjoying these videos with Ryan from Carson Law, and let's jump into it.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and we've got Ryan back from Carson Law. Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you doing? I'm excited to be here again.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm so excited to talk to you today about buying a condo. So spoiler alert for anyone watching at home, I've actually never bought a condo, though we have assigned a bunch of condo deals, so I'm mildly familiar with the process, but I'd love for you just to kind of break down for us, what differences should we expect if we're going to be closing on a condo versus, say, a freehold property, and any sort of tweaks or changes we should be looking at in our purchase and sale agreement when looking at buying that condo as well.
Yeah, I would say I break it into two categories. So there's like a resale condo purchase. So that would be like you and me buying and selling a condo from each other, from and with each other. But then there's also like the builder purchase of a condo. And so I think there are some unique differences to be aware of. So the first one I would actually talk about is the latter, the builder condo. So the builder condo transaction, because it's a builder deal, you have to be aware of the fact that there's going to be, in addition to the purchase price on closing, there's going to be some, they call them like builder closing adjustments or closing costs. So that's going to be things like hydro, water, gas installations, the condo reserve fee. There's going to be like a deposit under the condo legislation as well. Carry-on home warranty, these sorts of things. All in all, the adjustments are typically listed in the agreement of purchase and sale. It's important to have the realtor or the real estate lawyer review that. You've got a 10-day cooling off period legislated and mandated by the Condo Act. So they can't do anything about that. It's 10 days. Like you have to have 10 days with a builder condo deal. So those are unique pieces of buying a condo through like a builder.
And I guess just building upon that, Ryan, how often, and again, I'm sure each situation's different, but are you dealing with a lot of investors or aspiring investors that are buying pre-construction condos and then looking to eventually like flip or sell it? And how often are they able to do that? And are there restrictions on a lot of these condos when people are buying it like pre-construction?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a strategy that some of our real estate investor clients are going with is, they are buying the condo from the builder on the basis that you get a little bit of ramp up time, typically a couple years for the closing to actually get to its first closing date, which that's another thing that I was going to highlight is there's two closings in a builder condo. So there's occupancy closing, which as the name suggests, just allows you to occupy and have possession of the unit. You don't actually own the title yet. And then there's final closing, which happens typically 3 to 6 months or maybe longer after that occupancy date. So that's one of the last nuances that's different between builder and resale condo. The last one is HST. So theoretically, there's an HST rebate that is applicable with like with all builder deals, condo or freehold. And you get that rebate. It's all kind of a wash in the closing as a credit, as long as you live there and you're gonna live in that property. However, if you're going to assign it or buy it to rent or just buy and then like you flip it, you do a flip sale on the final closing, you have to be aware that when you close on that deal, you're going to have to pay the HST rebate, which is probably about $24,000. So you have to build that into your budget so that you make sure you've got the appropriate, financing arranged. So those would be like those would be things to think about and consider when you're looking at buying a condo from a builder. To your point, your question of, sorry, what was your question again?
Yeah,
I
problem,
derailed there.
Those were some great points. So really glad that you kind of went off into the weeds on those. And I was just talking about, do you see a lot of restrictions or covenants in regards to people being able to assign pre-construction? Because I know that's getting popular. And again, similar to the HST thing, I think there's a lot of kind of hidden pitfalls here. People hear one quick little pitch or seminar at an event, and they think they understand the entire picture, but there actually ends up being a lot of other aspects that we need to take into consideration.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, again, that review by a lawyer that is familiar with condo purchases is pretty important, because they'll be able to quickly tell you, well, like I just did right there, these are definitely differences that you have to be aware of. You could have bought hundreds of resale deals, but if you've never bought from a builder before and specifically bought a condo from a builder, there's about half a dozen to 10 or so nuances there, right? In regards to like restrictions on the assignment, that's one of the things that will pop up in the building agreement review with the lawyer, is whether or not you need written consent or whether it's just already consented to, and whether or not there's a fee. So typically the normal wording is that you can apply to get consent in writing from the builder. They won't unreasonably withhold the consent as long as you pay them an assignment fee, which is anywhere from like $500 on and $1,000 on the low end to, I've seen it kind of be as high as $5,000, $7,500 on the high end. So kind of gives you a range there of what they're going to want to see. But again, if you were assigning that deal, you just want to take into consideration all of those costs are obviously not going to come out of your pocket, right? Like you'd want to build out the assignment price with all these expenses taken into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that would be like the one thing that we're talking about, which is a builder condo purchase. On the flip side, there is just a standard resale condo purchase. It doesn't have a lot of those issues of HST and closing costs and two closings and all that kind of stuff, because it's already established, it's already set up. It's not going to have a lot of the same adjustments on closing. However, some adjustments to be aware of is, a condo fee with the property taxes and deposit and purchase price. There's going to be a condo fee adjustment. If you're the buyer, you want to certainly make sure that you don't go firm on the purchase of the condo unless you've had the condo status certificate and package reviewed. So
do you mind just kind of elaborating on that for anyone at home that's never been through the process before?
Yeah, so you won't have this condo package. Well, you do with builder deals, but it's kind of in draft form because the condo doesn't exist yet. But on a resale, the condo will have existed for some time. And you get this package from the property management company. And the property management company, as the name suggests, is the one managing the condo premises, the units and everything, right? So they make sure they have lawyers and accountants to maintain kind of the budget and do audits and so forth of the condo. But they also process all the day-to-day and/or scheduled, short, medium, and long-term repairs and so forth of the condo itself, right? Mm-hmm. So they deal with like complaints and so forth of all the condo individual owners. They set up and help the condo board, which is comprised of owners in the condo complex. And so Yeah, the property management company would provide a status certificate package to a buyer, a prospective buyer of a resale condo purchase, and you'd want to make sure you have that reviewed prior to making a firm offer, or have your offer conditional, upon that review and it being satisfactory. Because that condo package is going to disclose, has the condo been sued? Is it involved in lawsuits in front of the courts, tribunals, or otherwise? Are there administrative issues against it under the Condo Act? It's going to talk about if there's arrears on the monthly condo fee that's being paid by the seller. It'll talk about whether or not there's special assessments and/or scheduled increases likely to the monthly condo fee. So those are the big ticket items that we look for when we're reviewing it. And we actually only review the status certificate itself, which is about a 5 to 10 page document max. The audit, the budget, the rules and so forth, we don't typically review them. The rules are pretty standard. You just have to read them. Make sure, a main one to make sure about there is pets. So a lot of, because condos are privately owned, they're not governed by the landlord-tenant legislation. So if you know anything about landlord-tenant legislation, you can't be contracted out of having a pet. So if I want to have a pet, dog or dogs or cats or, snake or whatever at my apartment as a tenant, the landlord can't tell me I can't. That's actually against the legislation. It makes that part of the contract void. However, condos are private property. They're owned differently. They can have those kinds of rules. And so a lot of condos do have regulations on like pets, especially dogs. Most of them say like you can only have like a certain size of dog, that kind of thing. So that is something to check in the rules, to make sure about, especially if you're a lover of your dog. You want to make sure that you aren't going to buy this place and then be told you can't have your dog there, right? Another one is and this is a fire code thing. I believe it's a fire code rule and regulation. If you're in a high rise and you're on like above ground floor, so second floor up, you're not allowed to have certain barbecues that are propane driven and so forth. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. So if you wanted to have a barbecue on your balcony or something like that, you might need to rethink what kind of barbecue you're going to have, right? So again, that might impact your decision of how you want to buy and use and enjoy this particular property. So those would be some things I think that I would take into consideration if I was buying either from a builder for a condo or buying resale for a condo.
And so I know for a lot of investors, another restriction on condo units that you definitely want to be aware of is if there's any restrictions on using it as a rental property or using it as a short-term rental property in particular, like Airbnb and things of that nature. Especially, I know there's a lot of condos in Toronto that will explicitly, restrict short-term use.
Yeah, that's a great point. Should have brought that up, but that's a great point. There are a lot, especially in Toronto, Peel, a lot of the denser populations where a ton of people just bought, condo units to have them as rental items and stuff. And they thought, hey, Airbnb, this will be the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I don't have tenant issues to worry about on their landlord tenant anymore. I can just have people pumping in and out, wanting to visit Toronto or whatever, and have them in my condo. But yes, there's quite a few that have a restriction banning Airbnbs and short-term rental. So that's important to read in the rules. Yes.
And then, so essentially when looking at an actual purchase and sale agreement, when buying a condo, so there's usually going to be some sort of language or restriction or essentially something outlining the requirement of a clean status certificate, right? Or wanting to be able to review that status certificate.
Yeah, if you're working with a real estate agent or you get there's standard OREA, like Ontario Real Estate Association verbiage that all the realtors will use, or you could lift and put in your own private deal for having the purchase of a resale property conditional upon status certificate review.
Mm-hmm. And then
You don't really,
oh, go ahead.
you don't really have to worry about that builder purchase because you have the statutory right built into the condo legislation. So they can't tell you any different. It's 10 days.
Gotcha. And then so otherwise, as far as my purchase and sale agreement's concerned, there's not too much different between buying a condo and a freehold. The status certificate's the big thing, and then just understanding my ability to use the property and make sure that it falls within kind of the rules that they've outlined in the bylaws of the condo.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the transaction itself, like the quote on the closing and everything, there's not too much different with our office, and probably not too much different with your mortgage broker and so forth for arranging finance. Yeah, I mean, I guess the main difference for somebody to understand is with a condo, unlike buying a freehold property where you own like a deed of land, a condo you own shares in a corporation. So you own units, not deeds. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's a different kind of mindset to wrap your head around. And with a condo, you basically are a unit owner in the whole corporation, the condo corporation itself. So it's easier to illustrate with like a high-rise condo like you'd expect to see in Toronto. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's a condo and there's 1,000 units, meaning 1,000 dwellings in this big building, and they're all under one condo corporation, you own your 1,000th unit in this big condo corporation. And that's like your ownership. It's not like a deed of land and you own the land that you bought, right, with the house on it and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the key thing, I guess, there is it can be beneficial in many ways from maintenance point of view. There's lack of maintenance to worry about and all that kind of stuff. It's all kind of taken care of. You just kind of open and close your door and you come and go as you want and please. However, you're subject to probably more rules and regulation because of the overarching body that you're an owner in, and you can't just deviate out of the rules, so to speak. You have to abide by those rules of the condo corp. Whereas freehold, as long as you're not violating like a permit or some municipal law or rule or provincial law or rule, you can pretty much do what you want with your property. Mm-hmm. It's your property, but the risk of maintaining it and that kind of thing, you don't have the power of numbers from a budget standpoint and that kind of thing. Repairing the roof is all on you. Whereas like repairing your windows in a condo high rise probably costs you less than replacing your windows in a freehold because you've just got powers of numbers, right? You've got more money going behind, 1,000 units as opposed to just one homeowner.
Yeah. And then, so just kind of looking at the closing process, Ryan, from your standpoint as a lawyer, the closing timeline's essentially the same thing. So I still need a few weeks at a minimum to kind of bring everything together. Is there still title insurance? Does that essentially work the exact same?
Title insurance is the same. Yep. No difference there.
Closing costs from like a legal standpoint, whether I'm closing on a freehold or a condo, essentially the same total cost?
Yeah, essentially the same minus those adjustments we already kind of spoke about. So you're going to have you are going to have more adjustments with a condo closing. The builder one will have the most. I would typically roughly budget somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 for like closing adjustments if you were buying from a builder and it was a condo. In regards to like a resale condo purchase, you're really just going to have the one adjustment, which is an adjustment of the condo monthly fee. So, gotcha. which is going to be, probably a couple $100 max type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, really appreciate you breaking down the process for us behind, buying and closing on a condo. Again, I've never actually done it myself, though we have assigned a few condo deals. So it's always great just to get a little bit more perspective into the process. As always, guys, if you want to reach out to Ryan or Carson Law, we're going to throw a link in the video description down below to all of Ryan and Carson Law's contact information. Really encourage you guys, if you're looking to get a real estate lawyer, if you just need someone to add to your power team, reach out to Ryan. So appreciate you sharing all your experience here, Ryan.
Yeah, my pleasure. And you know what? When you do your first condo purchase, we'll help you.
Awesome. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thanks again to Ryan for taking the time to shoot this video. If you guys got value from this video, all I need you to do is smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. If you'd like to see the videos we release every single day, ding that notification bell. But otherwise, make sure if you're looking for a local legal expert, reach out to Ryan at Carson Law. If you guys didn't know, they'll work with you regardless of where you're based in Ontario. So you don't have to be based out of Burlington. You can literally be anywhere across the province. But again, what's really important is that you're working with a local expert. So ideally, whoever you're working with is someone that deals with a lot of investors like you. Right? And that's the biggest mistake. I see people going for local, but there's not an expert attached to that, right? So they get the local lawyer that's in the small town, but they don't deal with real estate investors. They're not planning for estate planning. And that's what's really important. At the end of the day, get a second opinion, reach out to just another expert, because far too often I see new real estate investors just using mom and dad's accountant, mom and dad's lawyer, without really putting any critical thought into it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Smash the like button, and we'll see you in the next one.